All right.
I want to just do a drawn to animation where we just talk about animated movies.
Funny you bring that up. Welcome back, episode number 4. You can jump into it. Yeah, I know, right? I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, I kind of just want to do a separate podcast, like, because this is something that we could like honestly separate off into its own thing. But yeah, I kind of want to do that more because I'm finding I'm enjoying animation a lot more by doing these.
Yeah. And
Um, it-
so,
yeah,
and and now that I have somebody to take to the movies with me and an excuse to do this,
yeah,
Everly and I are starting this tradition where we cosplay when we go see a movie. Because we did it with Mario, we did it with Spider-Man just this last week too. So it's fun because I get to make costumes, we get to dress up, we get to go to the
yeah,
movies, and it's something to kind of get out of the house and do without really spending a whole lot of money.
yeah. I
'Cause I
agree.
get a big ass
Well,
popcorn and a soda pop.
also I want to point out we should just call it like drawn to and then ellipsis dot dot dot, and then we
Whatever
could
the
just
movie is.
whatever the episode is be drawn to Despicable Me or whatever, you know. Even though I mean
Good, good, good.
I don't know if I want to fucking put myself through that, but
The first one's good. The rest of them are just
ugh.
like why? Just why? Because
No, yeah. Well,
they took the worst part of that movie and they just rammed it down our throats because the minions are stupid.
some executive was like Minions.
Gold.
That's our
Gold.
focus. That's our marketing.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they were
No.
right because look how much money those fucking movies made. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get into it. This is Drawn to DC. And this is episode number 5. Sorry, I said episode 4 with the intro. I'm messing everything up. Jake can't count math hard. But
It's the next episode in this installment.
it's not episode 6, but it's not episode 4. It's what it gonna be? This time it's Justice League Throne of Atlantis, the sequel to Justice League War, which you and I spent 30 some minutes just gushing about that movie. And I'm interested to what we think here because I was texting you when I was watching it because you and I both watched them back to back. You did in the opposite order because you watched this first and then Son of Batman, but it's in chronologically it's Son of Batman and then Throne of Atlantis. But you could, like we talked about last episode, you could watch them in any order. They're in the same universe, but they're not really attached. So yeah, this is a direct sequel to Justice League War. And I texted you when I watched it. I really like this version of the Justice League. I like how I really
the
dig
voice actors, dude. The voice actors in this version are really good too. Like we said that last week when we were talking about that cast, and we mentioned this cast as well. Like Matt Lanter's Aquaman, which I think is completely weird and random, but I like it. I enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
And
Jerry O'Connell's Superman.
Jerry O'Connell.
Rosario Dawson, Wonder Woman.
Rosario Dawson, she's in this.
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
She's Talia, right? No,
she's Wonder Woman.
She's Wonder Woman. Yeah. Cyborg, freaking.
There's so many. Well, Nathan Fillion came back because Nathan Fillion had done Green Lantern a few times, and he wasn't on Justice League War, but then he came back for this one.
Sam Witwer is Ocean Master.
That one surprised me because I was like, oh shit, because Sam Witwer is a really, really good voice actor. Like his Star Wars,
Darth Maul, dude.
Oh, his Darth Maul is so good, and he's also Star Killer in the Force Unleashed games. So yeah, he's all over Star Wars, man. I was gonna say this for later because it's in my notes. I was gonna say this for later, but we could jump into it now because we always kind of just jump around with this stuff. But his Ocean Master was so fucking good because you know why? It was a stupid mustache twirly villain who is like, oh, I'm the Ocean Master. And it's like, I'm sorry. If there's some Aquaman fans out there, like Aquaman purists that like love Ocean Master and Orm, I know they probably exist. I'm sorry, but for me, Orm and Ocean Master have always been these goofy, stupid characters. And he, like, I'm not taking away from him as like he has gravitas. He has like good scenes, but like for the most part, he's kind of silly, and I love that about him. You know,
the same reason why I enjoy Ocean Master in this movie is the same reason why I hated Damien in Son of Batman, because he's an entitled piece of shit, and you kind of you side with him a little bit.
But you don't have, but you know not to root for him. You know, like I hate this guy, and I get where you're coming from. Yeah. But like he's so good.
But the thing too is like the same everything you just said about what he is and being this shit character. Black Manta points that out at the end when he has his final fight. He's like, I used that piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't
want the money.
Like...
I was gonna kill him at the end and take all the money.
Fun fact: the voice of Black Manta in this is the general dude in Man of Steel, and then he also becomes Martian Manhunter in Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know what I'm talking about? The black dude. Mm-hmm. If you saw a picture, if you click on him, if you saw a picture of him, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he voices Black Manta in this, which I thought was interesting.
I liked how they set up some other things too, and like just like little like nods and stuff, like Steel. They show Steel in this movie.
Oh,
and I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I thought about it for a second because at first he goes, first of all, I do want to say, come on, people don't talk like that. If a dude was working with you, he wouldn't say, Luke Moyer, look out for that. He would say, Luke, look out, right? But this guy intentionally, because we have to make sure they get the Easter egg, John Henry.
Say your last name. Yeah.
But no, and then I was like,
but the big ass hammer wasn't enough.
But then the big ass hammer, and I was like, really? Because I forgot about that for a second, because he has the big hammer, and then I forgot, wow, I guess that character's name is really pretty on the nose in the DC canon.
This is prior to what they were doing later, where they did the Death of Superman, the Rise of Superman.
He shows up later in those movies.
So he shows up later.
He shows up as Steel, because he's Steel. And for a split second, I'm like, wow, John fucking Henry, and he's got a hammer. That's pretty on the nose. And then he hits it. He hits the like little henchman dude. He hits him, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And then he looks at Superman and he goes like, oh shit, you know? And I was like, oh, duh, that's Steel. Like, I didn't catch it for a second.
That's his inspiration moment to rise up.
Yeah, but the hammer should have been enough for me, because that's the same hammer. And then I remembered that we have got to, at some point, whether it's for off panel, off topic, or whatever it may be, we got to revisit that Steel movie, because it is bad. But you know what? It's 90s bad, so it's like
Are you talking about the one with Shaq?
Yeah, that movie's not good.
I don't think this is supposed to be the same thing. I think it's.
It is. No, it is. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Let me pull it up. It's Steel. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Anyway,
I don't think so, because he's like he's a knight.
What?
No, you might be right.
I'm pretty sure it's related.
He does have a big ass hammer. No,
it's a DC Comics character of the same name.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, fuck. We totally should. Because I always thought it was unrelated, but fuck.
No, that was a funny. I will say that was a funny Easter egg, because I was like, oh, and then because that will set him up, because he's in. I'm pretty sure he's in the comics.
He's in the reign of Superman. He's in the reign of Superman.
He should be, because he's in the comics.
Because after the death, all these other Supermen come out and try to take his place, and
the cybernetic Superman.
Which that trilogy is pretty solid. I watched them all three like in the same weekend one time.
Now you're gonna have to revisit them for the show. So
yeah, I will.
Don't forget. I'm gonna pull up my notes, because I have notes on this. First joke of the movie already hit, where they had. Where they play to, and it's great that we're watching these so in succession like this, because when they mention the Super 7 joke at the end of the movie, that gets paid off in this movie, because the sign doesn't say Justice League, it says Super 7.
We tested it. It went over well as Justice League, and they go, oh shit.
You know what else? I forgot that Steve Trevor was in War. And so the last time I remember seeing him was when she snaps his neck, or she chokes him in Flashpoint. So I was like, oh, it's nice that you're not getting fucking destroyed by Wonder Woman in this movie.
Right.
But I thought this was interesting, and again, why I think that even now in the DCU, I still think if they did, they could do something like this that would work and make these characters work together. Because we had this moment of like Cyborg's having a dream, which was kind of cool. I like how it was like it was a little horror vibes with the nightmare of like he's chasing after someone, and then he's like, "Hey, slow down," and then he turns around and it's his suit without him in it, and he's like, "No, leave me alone. I want to be human again." I was like, "Oh, that was a cool little character beat." But yeah, so we find out that like the Justice League doesn't really hang out with each other, which a funny joke that I wish would have been in the Avengers movies. Like they would go to the tower and Tony's the only one there. He's like, "Well, they got lives." Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, this money,
Which I mean, it makes sense because that was
they
the
got
first time they did it.
they got
They
their
weren't
own.
really planning on doing it.
They got their own beats, man. Batman's got Gotham. Fucking Superman's got Metropolis. Green Lantern's
Well,
doing
it makes
space cop
sense.
shit. Central City.
It makes
Is it
sense
Coast
that
City?
Cyborg is there
Right. Where's
just
he gonna do?
because. Yeah, he has to stay there because the doctors have to keep fucking charging him and shit. Plus, that's where his dad worked. That's where he was created.
But
And
I
it's
wrote.
funny too because Billy shows up all the time because he's just a fanboy.
Yeah. I wrote in my
Which
notes. I wrote my notes.
I'll mention that later.
Yeah. Other. It's kind of sad because other members won't hang out with Cyborg. Is what I wrote in my notes. And it is.
Yeah.
I feel for. But that's one of the things I like about what I find interesting about Cyborg, because I do like him as a character and I think he's a likable character, but I think it says more about me because I like him because he's a sad boy, and I guess he's and look, I feel for the kid, star athlete, and he's a fucking robot now, pretty much. I mean, like he says in the movie,
thing too, though,
I'm more machine than
you
man.
have to be tragic. You have to be a tragic person to be a superhero.
We talked about a Flashpoint.
Because in this movie, right away, I buried my dad yesterday, or I buried my dad today, and then let's go meet your mom. It'll make you feel better. Well, she's dead, so that's cool. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, you have to have dead parents or parents that were abusive to you in some way, or parents that there's no good parents in superhero world, man. It's just not gonna happen.
But then when he waddles home, he's fumbling and stumbling. He opens up the door and he says, "Dad, I'm home." I cried a little bit.
God.
I was like, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's right." I'm like, "God damn it, dude."
As someone who has lost a parent, that I don't think ever goes away, and yeah, to see it so fresh like that, I was like, "Damn, I've been there." Like I've had moments where I go to pick up my phone to make a phone call to my dad, and I'm like, shit, like, yeah, that was a very relatable moment. I was like, damn, that sucks. I actually really dug so we had a conversation about this because you weren't very hype, because you were the guy who was like, well, Aquaman sucked for so long and now they try to make him cool in the new 52 and blah 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 blah. I really dug his introduction. I thought it was a nice way to bring him into the fold and kind of explain why he wasn't in the last movie, and you also find out that I feel like a lot of that 2018 movie, Aquaman, borrows from this, because there's some like things that are definitely from this in that movie,
like the lighthouse, the whole.
She met her.
I mean, obviously it's part of his backstory anyway, but like
his
coming up to the surface and all that stuff. But a lot of it was like in order, like him getting drunk at the bar and all that stuff. It was pretty.
Which would you believe?
Near coming after him.
It makes sense because Jeff Johns was a producer on that Aquaman movie, and he wrote this run of Justice League. He like there was the New 52. Like Jeff Johns wrote a bunch of stuff. Like he was working on Green Lantern. He was working on Aquaman. He was working on a Justice League book. I don't think he was on No, Snyder was on Batman at that time. Scott Snyder, but. So it's not surprising that like, oh yeah, like this is the Jeff Johns run. Yeah. But yeah, I had not, as we talked about coming into this, I had not seen this movie. So I didn't know that like, wow, there's like you said, some of it is beat for beat, that movie. I was like, oh, okay. I can kind of see where they got it from.
which
But
is cool. And it just goes to show you that you can make a good movie like this.
yeah, I mean they literally took the blueprint.
Because Aquaman is, I mean, essentially the same movie. You just take out the rest of the Justice League.
Just take out the Justice League. It is the same movie. Like again, Ocean Master, all that shit is it's kind of insane.
It's a little bit more extended, drawn out.
I mean, Black Manta's a little bit different. Black Manta like straight up just calls him a half breed and stuff. Like so, like Black Manta was like a little bit different in this than in the movie. But yeah, it is kind of crazy how.
That's because Black Manta is already, which I don't understand why he's in Atlantis already and knows the royal family and is accepted and welcomed.
Yeah, because I think you're thinking of the movie, because like the movie is he doesn't know anything about it, and then his dad gets killed.
he's always been Aquaman's like biggest adversary.
He's always been.
I never knew that he was like basically an Atlantean at some point. Like he's not, but like he palled around and lived there. And
I mean, if he's gonna call,
I always thought he was just a pirate that was just going after his Moby Dick. You know what I mean?
But so I've seen some criticisms of this movie saying that they felt like it was pointless to be a Justice League movie, and it should have just been an Aquaman movie. I could see that, considering like we just said, like a lot of the beats are in the Aquaman movie. I think that's a fair criticism, but I love the Justice League being involved in this story, and I think it's a really cool way of reintroducing Aquaman to the Justice League and like presenting him as like, no, this character has some depth and can be cool if you do it in the right way. Because I mean, that's true of any character, not just comic books, but especially comic books. You can really take a character that kind of has silly powers and make it work. And I think this movie it succeeds at making his powers not feel so cheesy and hokey. Like when he talks to fish in this, it's actually pretty cool and it works well for the story.
He's drunk and talking to the fish tank with the lobster.
I thought that was a fun nod and a fun, because that's funny because in that point in the movie, you don't know if he knows he has powers yet. So the fact that he like was saying I'm having a conversation was pretty funny. Yeah, I really liked how they introduced him and all that stuff with Aquaman.
But when you said it could have just been without Justice League, it could have just been an Aquaman.
I think this movie could have worked without it.
It's the fact though that Orm was threatening the surface, and they're all on the surface, and they made it a global pandemic because he was threatening mankind. So that was Batman's whole thing is it's not that big a deal. But then they brought in the nukes, and he's like, because when he tells Hal, and he says next time, this is what I wanted to talk about. I was like, he's like, I just did it. I just cut your time in half. And Batman is like, okay, well, where are they going? Where's the fear tops? And he goes, wait, here's a simple one. Where's the scarecrow? And he's like, I just did that for you. And he goes, next time you want to help, don't. Because Batman has this whole strategy of I want them to talk.
Well, it's funny. It's funny, yeah, because that goes back to like, it's a fun sequence of like nobody's here, so then we have to catch everybody up like what everybody's doing, and so Flash shows up, and Billy's already there because he's a fucking fanboy.
He's a fanboy,
and then Flash shows up, and
is it Charm
and then,
but
what I love about it is, again, it's playing on Green Lantern and Batman's relationship where they're not friends. They don't like each other. and the fact that he's like, well, if I gotta be here, that dick can be here too, you know, like fuck him. So he goes all the way to Gotham. And my favorite line of that was he shows up, hey, Spooky, like what's going on? And
the other thing that I don't
so good.
The other thing that I don't like about this run is the same reason. And again, I'm two sides of the same coin where I hate one character for this reason, but I love another character for the same reason. Where I hate the Superman Diana, the Clark and Diana
Oh,
storyline.
let's
I
talk
hate
about
that
this. Yes, yes. Let's talk
because
about this.
Superman and Lois, it's Clark and Lois and Clark. It is always and will be
You
Lois and
just
Clark.
said you hate Lois.
And I hate it. And I hate it, but I hate him being with Diana even more.
Oh, thank God we can talk about this.
That.
Thank God we can talk about this.
Like I get it. She's the only other superpowered being who can handle his speed.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Because this is doing the New 52 run, and the New 52 they try to push this shit, and I get, like you said, I get it on some level that Superman would like be interested in her because she can like she knows what he's dealt with, and she knows how to be a suit. Like she's super strong and a superhuman. Whatever, I can understand that, but it just. And you're right. Maybe it's the Superman and Lois stuff, and maybe it's just I just don't see those two together. I just can't. It's just like
it feels forced. It's more
so
of like
forced in this movie.
We should be together because it makes sense because we're both gods.
There was nothing in that first movie romantically between them. Nothing. And I understand there's supposed to be some time has passed, but it's like there's not enough time there. Like if they were to set it up, and like that first time we meet him in the diner and that was like a first date, I don't think that would be a problem. But that completely unnecessary scene when they're like holding, she's like, I guess nobody will know what it's like to be the strong. Oh, dude. And then like fucking hold hands and just slowly fly up into the sky. And I'm like, this is such an unnecessary scene.
She's like, nobody understands what I'm going through or whatever. And he goes, I do. I'll show you. And they like basically
ooh, smoochy, smooch.
Like, why?
You know who started that trend?
The only reason.
Fucking Frank Miller, and his idea was we're gonna make them fuck in the air, and then they're gonna crash land on the earth, and then they're gonna have these kids and stuff, and it sucked then, and it sucks now. I fucking hate it.
Because the only thing I can really push is that it sets up for when Superman goes bad, because in is it Apocalypse? No. Injustice, because Injustice, the movie later on, it kind of touches on their relationship more because Joker kills Lois, and then Superman and Wonder Woman are banging because they're like, we're both superpowered beings, let's fuck and like rule the world together.
Yeah.
So that's their whole thing. It's just because I think that's my problem with it too, is that they think that they're better than each other. They think that they're better than all the other people of the world because it's like we're not part of their world.
Only we can date each other because nobody can handle us.
Because nobody can handle the seed.
That was in my notes too. I like like the minute that happened, I'm like, ugh. And another thing too, like not for nothing, I'm not like you with Lois, but like for me, I've always liked Diana and Steve's relationship, and I like Clark and Lois's relationship, and I think they made sense, and I think they worked. But I feel like this whole dynamic in the New 52 and in these movies was only made to be like, well, we got to do something different. And it's not something that not something interesting that's different. It's just something that feels really forced. Yeah.
Even the the Justice League animation, like the early 2000s stuff, like Unlimited and stuff, it was Bruce and Diana had like more of a thing too, which I kind of enjoyed that a little bit better. And that to me was a little bit more made sense to me because they're both kind of like love them and fuck them and leave them and be done with it.
Yeah. It also says you to the character of Clark Kent because I feel like he could be crushing as Superman, but
right. But no,
I love Lois.
Which was funny though, that she was like, he got her glasses to be like, look, secret identity.
Yeah.
They touched on that, and he's like, it does work, right? Like, You guys are fucking dumb.
Yeah. Also,
So
I would
dumb.
have if I'm like Diana or Clark, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, because Flash and Cyborg go to get Superman and Wonder Woman to join the
And they
team.
just boom right there.
Yeah, they just boom in front of the diner, and it's like, you idiots.
Like,
Oh,
oh,
they're like, why are they here? And then I don't know. We should go find out. And then like, what are you gonna?
yeah,
But I also think that's a really good joke because it's like it's such a comic book thing to be like, oh, I better go get my friends. Not even thinking about like it's in front of all these people.
well, like, okay, going back to when you said that they yelled John Henry.
Yeah,
Didn't fucking Lois yell Jimmy Olsen
maybe.
when she's at the reporter when she's trying to report and the fight happens? Jimmy's taking pictures. Wonder Woman shows up in front of him, and then they take off, and I think she says, "Run, Jimmy Olsen."
Uh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
She might have
Again,
just said Jimmy, but like
I
something
hope
tells
she
me
did,
they
but
said the
that
full
would have been
name.
really funny. Run, Jimmy Olsen.
Like,
Run, Jake
okay.
Williams. Again, you're gonna say run Luke, run Jake, or just run. You're not gonna say run Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I think I mentioned it earlier. I'll reiterate. I really dig this team together. I really like how they're written. Yeah, and I love it in like in the best, in my opinion, superhero team ups, whether it be Justice League, the Avengers, whatever. When they really drive home that like these are all kind of egotistical people, but they're also they're broken, egotistical, kind of crazy people, and that's why I kind of love them, and I think they all work well together. Um, can we talk about the weird fucking sideburns on Aquaman?
Yeah.
Well, him and
Yeah.
Ocean Master. Why do the Atlanteans have mutton chops?
What?
What is that?
It's to hide their gills. I don't know.
Wait a minute. How does he not know about his powers if he has gills on his neck at the beginning of the first scene? I just thought about that.
I don't know. He's scratching himself.
Maybe he,
No, I think he knows
but he doesn't
that
know like
he's.
about
But
Atlantis.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's the whole
okay,
thing.
yeah.
Because when he's fighting and he gets stabbed, he
He
goes,
said
"Oh,
I
I was
always wondered
wondering about
about that.
that."
Okay, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, so I
Yep.
think he knows that he's got all this stuff, but like his dad told him some stuff, and he kind of got the picture, but he just didn't
But yeah,
know
he's
where
never been.
land
Yeah,
was.
that makes a lot more sense now that I say that out loud because I still think the introduction is great, but I like yeah, it makes a lot more sense because he didn't know he could talk to fish though, like he figured it out later in the movie. But
Yeah,
finding Aquaman, that scene was awesome. That's the shit I like. And again, I could have done with another 20 minutes. Just like all of these movies, I swear. I haven't looked into it. I haven't researched it. I'm sure I could find it. But there seems to be like some sort of mandate with these animated movies where they
well,
have to.
I think they try to because it's animation. I think they're trying to fit the TV movie. So like you did a
Yeah,
2 hour slot, but you had to take out the 45-minute commercial breaks or
yeah,
something like that.
I
So
could
I
see
think
that.
that's kind of their formula.
Maybe. But maybe because I feel like every movie that we've watched so far, it's gonna keep going like this. But it's like I swear, it's like 75 minutes is like where they have to hit, and I feel like so many of these movies could benefit from another like 20 minutes. Justice League
Mm-hmm.
War was crisp in and out. Thought it worked really well. For this movie, I could have gone with a little bit more. Just like another scene of them kicking ass together. That's just all I want. But the third act is pretty good chunk of this movie. I will say, like the final fight does take up some time, but the just finding Aquaman scene was sick. I loved it. I loved it because I think what I loved about it was the nuance of like, okay, so they're fighting the trench guys, and then you just see a shot of Barry just running along the water, like found him, and then like everybody's fucking
Yep,
coming in and getting him, like, oh,
that
it was
was cool.
awesome. Well, and then, but again, this is what I love about it, and I talked about with Justice League War. I'll talk about it every time when we do these team up movies. Everybody got to get their shit in, so everybody got the cool moves in, and then Superman drops down, bam, and he just goes run. Like I fucking love
Yeah,
it.
that was good. But what I was gonna say is a lot of these movies, and especially with like DC in general, but like Avengers did it, and it's like as long as they're not human, we can kill all of them.
Oh yeah, they're
We don't
slicing
give
these
two
dudes
fucks.
up.
Like, because parademons, we're killing parademons, even though they are humans transitioned into fucking these things.
Anymore.
We're just fucking them up. And then when Mira comes in, she's
Trench
like making
people,
water
fuck 'em.
arrows, cutting people in half. She's like her own people, essentially.
Oh yeah, they
Like,
totally are killing all the
slicing and
Atlanteans.
dicing blood and all this shit. And like even Batman and Superman are like, no fucks, just killing dudes. And I'm like, as long as they're not your own race.
It's war, man. It's fucking war. Yeah, but that scene and then them getting together, and honestly, like the scene where they're talking and they're strategizing, and like when they do the reenacting of Cyborg getting attacked by the Atlanteans, and it starts with Green Lantern, and this is what I love about these characters, and why I always like these characters in the DC canon and stuff, was there's a moment at the beginning where Green Lantern cracks a joke where it's like being in a weird 3D movie, you know? And then later on in that same scene, he's giving military strategy. Like, I love it when those characters do that, where they're quippy, but then it's like you're also reminded, like, these aren't dumb characters. They're all, they all
Which
can.
I think it's
bring
hilarious
something
too,
to the shit.
Because he does that, and then Batman is saying something, and then what is Barry? Barry says something, and then Green Lantern's like, "Ha, kiss ass."
Yeah.
and then Barry goes, "Oh, okay, Mister Barrel Roll." Like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
because
he's like,
ass first.
he's like, yeah, barrel roll. That's a military tactic. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I agree. And then he's like, like, he's like, yeah, fuck you.
And then the Flash says something, and then he's like calling him out for being a kiss ass.
Kiss ass.
And then the Flash is like, "Hey, you kissed his ass first."
Well, that's a good thing that I've always loved about DC canon, where it's like Green Lantern and Flash, like Barry and Hal, they've always been like the buddies and the goof offs. But like even funnier for that is like they always try to get like validation from Batman. It's like, that dude doesn't even have powers. You got a ring that can do whatever you can think of. You can run fast. You're the fastest man alive, but you still need validation of Batman because you think he's cool.
That's because Batman is the shit. Like, if Batman thinks you're awesome, then you can die happy.
You're living their best life. It's facts.
It's the facts.
This is the facts.
Because why do we need to have Batman on all the movies titles? Because if you don't know who it is, but we'll put Batman in there, people are gonna go.
Great example. We'll get to it later with these
Justice League Dark.
Yeah, Justice League Dark. I've seen that one. Good, solid movie, but Batman is really just in it to get. They do it with all the Trinity sometimes. Like fucking Wonder Woman's in that Justice Society animated movie, and well, I guess it would kind of make sense for her character, but it's like we got to have her front and center because nobody's gonna give a shit about the Justice Society. But if we put Wonder Woman in this movie, then we'll care.
Even though it's a fucking Flash movie.
It's another fucking Flash movie. It just happens to be about everybody else.
It sucks that the Flash,
because there's two Flashes in that movie.
Because I said this about the show when the Flash was going, and it's like, I'm the fastest man alive until there's somebody who's faster than me.
Except for this guy.
I gotta try and outrun him and be faster, and because there's only so many things you can do with the superhero that can run.
In my opinion, the Flash is always.
I think that they should have ended that show 5 seasons ago.
In my opinion, I think
dumpster fire.
I think that the Flash has always worked better in a team book. Or he's always been better as a bit player or ensemble character. Because you're right, you can only do so much with super speed. All right,
because they show it, because in the Paradox they show all of his villains, his rogues gallery.
Either it's hot or cold.
Like I said, you're basically stopping him from running. You got the top, who makes him dizzy. You got cold, who just makes him slip on ice.
Yeah,
like just. A boomerang that's like, ooh, let me throw this at you and trip you.
Come on. But you missed.
Essentially,
no, I didn't.
But there's only so much you can do with somebody who can run fast. It's either I'm faster than you, or I'm slower than you. So like, But
Plus,
anyway,
I mean, how's anybody gonna compete with you if you're so fast that you could break into the Speed Force and go back in time? I mean,
back in time. Ooh,
back
that's
in
and
time.
it's not really a spoiler, but they do talk about Back to the Future a lot in this movie, in the Flash movie.
Oh yeah.
It, it's it's kind of funny, but there's a part, and you're gonna when you see it, you're gonna die laughing because it's so stupid. But it's something like one of us would do if we lost a bet. And I really hope that you get it when you go see it because
Yeah.
you're gonna lose your shit. Anyway, the
Harry's got to
final.
run butt ass naked.
I
Anyway,
mean, that's not
no,
what I was talking about, but it
yeah.
happened.
Uh,
Um,
third act of this movie. So
so
you and I had this conversation before we started recording because you and I had the same thought, right? We got this big fight coming. There's this giant tidal wave, right?
yes, yes,
And,
and and
these guys
and I
get
feel
out with
like
their
we
guns.
didn't we didn't we missed something when because the league obviously knows this threat's coming, and
Yeah, because
they're
there's two
they're
separate
they're
teams.
trying.
There's essentially a team that can breathe underwater and a team that can't. And
Which that's kind of weird that Diana and
they kind of
Clark
just
just
hand wave that away. Don't even explain
they're
it.
like, hey, you guys can breathe underwater. Apparently, I don't know,
Green Lantern, at least Cyborg kind of had a mask on, but like Green Lantern made sense because he could just make a barrier
yeah.
around himself.
But
But like,
I guess having superpowers, being alien, you could just breathe wherever the fuck you want.
I guess because they can breathe in. If Superman can breathe in space, he can breathe underwater. All right, that's just a
I
rule.
guess, yeah. But anyway, like apparently we lost something in the in between because this giant ass tidal wave, like tsunami type thing, is coming, and
Yeah.
the sirens start. People are running. They're fucking scared, and here comes the goddamn military to fight a wave. Like, what is that? Like I'm
So,
assuming like Batman alerted the people that a war's coming or something, but like
so Ashley,
makes no sense.
my wife, because I was like, oh yeah, I got to do my homework for the recording tonight. So like, my wife leaves me at home with our kid, and he's napping. So I'm just gonna watch these movies while he's napping because it's again they're short movies. I could probably get them all
Yeah,
done in one nap sesh. And so she goes and gets groceries. She comes back and she's like in the kitchen. She's not even watching the movie, and I'm just laughing. And she goes, "Why?" She goes, "What?" I go, "Because there's just because she knows that it's Aquaman and stuff. So like she knows this whole like the Atlanteans are fighting us. Because fun fact, I talked to her about this. We would be so fucked. If the Atlantis exist, we would be dead so fast because
because they're so fucking
75,
advanced.
80% of our planet
Yeah,
is fucking water. We're dead.
yeah.
But anyway,
Dead in the water.
she's again in the kitchen and I'm watching it. And I just start laughing. Go, what? He goes like, because the fucking military shows up and they're gonna shoot a tidal wave. Like they got their guns drawn to
Yeah,
fight
they're
a
like
tidal.
ready. I'm like, what?
And my
But
wife,
then Orm
and
opens
then
it up, and then
well,
they step out, and I'm like,
my wife
we must have
says,
missed that.
she goes, "Are they American troopers?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, well, that makes sense." I know, I'll fucking shoot it.
Yeah,
But no, I wrote that in my note. The parting of the seas. Okay. While it was a really cool visual, and I dug it a lot, why didn't he just fucking tidal wave those people? Like, I get it's a movie, it's a superhero movie, right? But if I'm Ocean Master, I'm leveling these people.
done.
Why did he do the thing of other than just be like, look what I can do with my cool trident? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. It does again. It doesn't take away from me enjoying the movie at all, right? But it is that the thing of like logically, I'm like, what? Why didn't you just tidal wave these dudes? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that happens in a lot of movies and stuff. Like, in
Right.
like I said that today when I watched the Flash movie, and it's not a spoiler alert
Jesus
or anything, but
Christ,
he
man.
like,
Talk about a different movie.
sorry, it's just it's fresh in my mind. It's something I compare it to.
Yeah, I know.
Like he's trying to get into the crime lab in the alternate timeline, and he phases through, and I'm like, why not just try your key?
It's a different universe.
You know, like you probably. I mean, I'm assuming the key still works,
Same technology.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same door. It's everything. I'm like, I would have at least tried it,
Yeah.
instead of.
But
But I don't know.
you're right. Like there's some things in movies you just have to have that, the suspension of disbelief or the leap in logic of like, because yeah, my thought was like, if I'm Ocean Master, fuck these people. I already don't hate
I
surface
think the
dwellers,
only
so
thing
I'm
I
just
would
gonna
think of
level them.
is it's because they don't know, they've never seen the army, they've never
Oh
seen it
yeah, you know
unless
what?
it's like a fear
It's
tactic
good
to
call.
be like,
Good
look at what
call.
I can do with the water. Check out my
It's
fucking army.
arrogance. It's arrogance. It's
Yeah,
like you were
yeah,
talking about. He can't help himself. Instead of just killing these people, he has to be like, hey, remember when you go into your mortal past this mortal coil, I killed you. I think
yeah.
like that's the only explanation. Because again,
Because he's
I would have
mustache
just
twirling
I
bad
would have
guy, and
just
I
leveled
love.
him.
I wish we had more mustache twirlers in main movie.
Quick thing I want to talk about. Yes, yes, but quick thing I want to talk about. With the fucking how it ends. So Ocean Master just gets sick of the queen and just says, "I'm gonna kill her. Fuck it." Kills her, right? And then like just says it out loud, like, "Yeah, I killed her." Like,
Yeah, that killed the dead
and
girl.
again, I'm not gonna give it the whole like John Henry treatment. Like, come on, people don't talk like that. But it is kind of like, how was he supposed to know the cyborg man was gonna record what he was saying? But I just think it's funny that he's just like, "Yeah, I fucking killed that bitch. What do you want? I don't even like my mom. I don't care."
And then 2 seconds after, Cyborg plays the recording for the army, and they're like, you know what? I'm not gonna listen to this guy. Totally justified in what he's trying to do. Like, yeah, he killed our queen. That's pretty bad, but I'm still on his side. But he killed the queen. I'm not.
You
I'm
know
not
how
doing
we're gonna
that.
fight them though? We're gonna shoot a wave. We got a
There's
we
one.
got a bug problem. I know. I got my shotgun.
Fucking the one thing that I think was cool is shows you just how powerful the Atlantean magic is in the Trident is when he's fighting Shazam and he goes,
Mm.
"Oh, another lightning wielder. Let's see whose magic's really stronger." And he hits him with the lightning so fucking hard
So
that he
hard he
reverts him back
knocks
to
him into
Billy.
Billy.
That was cool as fuck.
I love it. I love it.
Which again, I think is such a cool character trait, and it's always dark and like gruesome when they do it when they change him back to the kid and try to kill the kid. I think it's fucked
Oh,
up, but it's so there's something about it that really like I get it because like I can't fight
or
him, so
another
why?
great example of making them make Ocean Master have some weight to him was like he then after that he almost fucking kills Cyborg,
Yeah,
which was a really fun. And I don't know if this was intentional. It might not have been, but I think it's
nod
a
to the other one
yeah Flashpoint. I feel like that was a nice little nod to that.
because Orm is essentially what Aquaman could have been.
Well, and
Yeah,
then it's also funny to go to this movie too. After just a few movies ago, you and I talk
when
about
Orm
how
was a little baby back bitch.
yeah, when he accepted his brother, like when they were actually like brotherly, but even then, oh, Aquaman treated him like a little bitch, like he would slap him around and stuff.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
Um, yeah, so that final fight was really cool, and again, that final fight was a great way for them to be like, see, Justice League is doing stuff. it's not, it is an Aquaman movie, but here's Justice League doing cool stuff, which is fine with me. I like that shit.
Which
But again,
I did like to.
Trident Magic. Again, they did a great job of like really driving home that only Arthur or Ocean Master could use it because Diana
Superman
has
got knocked off,
yeah, and
and
Diana
then
had
Wonder
it, and
Woman got
X
that.
electrocuted her. So yeah, I like that. But
But the ending when they were watching his coronation and they were saying we need to start meeting up like once a
oh
week or
yeah,
whatever, and then Aquaman was just like, "Yeah, we're doing
I'm
this.
I'm in.
I'm in, dude." Surfer bra. And then he
Oh, another
goes,
thing I
"Hey,
loved,
deuces, I gotta go fight these guys."
I when the also if you paid attention, same director Ethan Spalding that did Son of Batman, the last movie that we did. Um, they show the fight. So they go to fight and it just cuts to black. If you watch throughout the credits, it's another thing of like stealed image of them fighting the trench people. I was like, oh, that's cool. Him and Mara doing it. But yeah, again, I do think that was funny that at the way the movie bookends is being like, okay, we need to actually like get together and like discuss stuff, and then Aquaman, I'm in, I'm cool.
Well, then he's like, then I think a cyborg was like, yeah, I'm putting together a watchtower,
Ooh, we're gonna have a satellite. I
which is cool.
One thing I did want to point out before we finish this up, I do love the sequence where he puts on his royal armor and then immediately takes it off. Yeah,
He's like, I'm putting this on. He goes,
it's
nah,
just
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, bro.
it's a good joke because it's like this like stereotypical like suit up, and then it's like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. And then but
Like,
he
I
still
ain't no
has
king, bro.
like the traditional
The wetsuit,
armor. Yeah. All right.
which I think is stupid and cool at the same time. Like green and orange, like wetsuit. I think it's
Jason Momoa wears the shit out of it in that movie because I'm like,
dude,
this shouldn't look cool at all. And then he wears it. I'm like,
dude,
okay.
Jason. It's not reverse casting though.
It wasn't always perfect.
I don't care. I don't care for Ezra.
They
I
nailed
really don't.
Batman. They nailed Superman. They nailed Wonder Woman. And I'm okay.
I like Aquaman.
I tolerate Jason Momoa's Aquaman. It's just Jason Momoa just doesn't feel like he fits Aquaman to me. Like his like I don't know.
Because he's Hawaiian.
No, I just
Samoan.
Yes, it's totally a race thing. Aquaman is white.
no, because I was in the same boat. I was in the same boat when he was first cast. I was like, I would rather have it be clean cut, pretty boy.
Yeah.
But now after the first Aquaman, I loved the first Aquaman.
I don't know. Maybe
I enjoyed it.
Watch it. I
probably because I was on a whole new level. And I watched it at home by myself for the first time.
Yeah.
And
it's not a bad movie. I don't know. I just feel like
my expectations were a lot lower, I think, when I first watched it.
My problem is the same thing with John Krasinski. I let the internet make me think that he would like I want to see him as Lobo. Sorry, I only want to see him as Lobo. And there's nothing wrong. And
I just don't want to recast.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I have no issues with his Aquaman. I think his Aquaman's fine. I don't know, man. I just always pictured him as Lobo because he just I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen the new Fast movie, but based on that, I was like, this dude's Lobo. What are you talking about? This is scenes that I've seen. I'm like, All right, let's get to the rating.
It's a trilogy, which is hilarious in and of itself.
Fast 10 Part 2. All right, let's give it a rating here. We rated on story, animation, voice acting. Luke, I want you to go first. We're gonna go story. What do you give this movie?
Story, I'll give it a 6.
Oh,
I give it a 6. I enjoyed it. I did. It needed a little bit more. That's it.
Yeah.
For animation,
I would agree with the story. I give it about a 6 on the story. So
for animation, I think I'll give it a 6 as well.
Wow, straight across.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues with it. It's just it wasn't perfect, but there wasn't as much of the random ass CGI stuff, and there wasn't
like Son of Batman.
Yeah, like even like all of his cars and shit, like his stuff was animated, was CG.
Yeah, it was like a weird CG thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was done really well. I just wish we got some more. You know, right? That's about it. Casting, I'll give it a 7.
Wow.
I think it was pretty good.
Luke, you give it a 20 out of 21. I agree. 100%. Cross.
Was that 19?
No, you're right. That's 19.
Yeah.
If it would have been 7, 6, 7, then it would have been 20.
Yeah. So I give it 2
math
6s.
Math was never my strongest suit. I agree.
19. That's why you took an extra math class to graduate.
Took an extra English class to get my credits.
Or English class because you couldn't.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
I failed at math so hard.
Was out to get you.
19 out of 21 across the board. Beautiful movie. I think we gave the last one like a pretty much the same score, maybe even better, but I don't know. It's hard to beat that last movie, man. That the Justice League War was so good, and I think this does a good enough job. I think this does a really good job of building on that, and then adding a little bit more. I think the argument could have been made. We could have done a little bit more, like you said. There should have been more time. I think that's going to be the common theme with these movies. They need more time because I think we could have established a little bit more of the Justice League and added another scene of just them before meeting Aquaman, because Aquaman got plenty of screen time. It's his movie. It just happens to have the Justice League in it. But regardless, that is it. I have to pull up the list because I don't remember what's next. Lucas, tell me about your favorite kind of pizza while we pull up drawn together.
Classic pepperoni.
Classic. I mean, you can't go wrong with pep. You can't go wrong with
Dude,
pep.
the thing that I miss since I have moved from Omaha and I'm in Oklahoma right now is Lighthouse Pizza. The shit that we ordered for a couple of the Facebook, the all meat with the cream cheese, and that dude that delivered it that one time, and I was like, "You want to come in and have a slice?" He goes, "Oh man, if I was working." You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
That shit was fucking funny.
So
I was smelling it in the car.
Excuse me. We're clear. We are wrapping up. Well, we're on the path to wrapping it up. So the next two movies are a part of the Batman trilogy that we talked about with Son of Batman. So the next movie we're going to be watching next week will be Batman versus Robin. And then the week after that will be Batman Bad Blood, which will be interesting because then that will narratively weave into Justice League versus Teen Titans. Because guess what? Damien's a shithead for these next two movies. And Batman's mad
for the next three movies. Because Damien's in
he
Titans.
Gets demoted to the Teen Titans in that movie at the beginning.
Well,
he's a part of the Justice League, but then he fucks up, and then Batman's like, "You're demoted down to the Teen Titans."
Because after the first initial team of the Titans with OG Robin and Beast Boy, all those guys, I don't think Beast Boy.
It's Tim Drake Robin though, isn't it? That's in Teen Titans, or is it Dick? I can't remember.
So originally it's Dick,
okay.
and with different characters. They changed characters out all.
Yeah, it's comic.
But originally it's Dick Grayson's Robin. He starts it, whatever. But after like the first team, they establish it as a sidekick training for the
Teen Titans is so you can get ready for the Justice League, which I kind of did.
Yeah, it's basically like the sidekicks just learning how to work as a team.
AA,
and then they go up.
Teen Titans are the AA, and then Justice League is the major leagues. It's the best way to describe it.
They do covert, silence, recon, intel only type shit.
But anyway, next week will be Batman versus Robin. For as we're continuing these movies, episode number 6. We've done 5 of these, man. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Anyway, keep
it going. Keep drawing.
Keep it going. Keep it drawing.
We should cut it. We should cut it with an animation of us writing the logo. Because keep drawing.
Keep it going, man.
Keep it going.